Okay, in this video, you're going to really get to see my passion. In this video, you're going to be able to understand why I feel the way I feel about how you all say grandparents aren't the grandparents they used to be. And then I am showing the contrast of how just like grandparents aren't the grandparents they used to be, children aren't the children they used to be. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and shut my mouth so that you can see the video. But just realize and know that I hope you like, I hope you comment, I hope you share, and I certainly hope you subscribe, because when you subscribe, as you already know, it helps my channel a great deal. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm gonna say this and then I ain't gonna say nothing else. I'm hearing a lot of chatter about how the grandmas ain't the grandmas that they used to be. And you know what? You're right. The grandmas ain't the grandmas that they used to be. Huh? And see, the reason the grandmas ain't the grandmas that they used to be is because the grandmas ain't the grandmas that they used to be. Let me break that down. See, back in the day, my day, baby boomer time. See, because a lot of our grandmas raised us. You know, those grandmas that took us from our mother. Not ask, took us from our mothers and said, give me that baby. You don't know what you're doing. See, those grandmas that you're talking about, I get it. But let me tell you something. Let me enlighten you on something. And I ain't mad and I ain't fussing. I'm just passionate about what I'm getting ready to share with you. See, baby, the reason the grandmas ain't the grandmas that they used to be is because, see, the grandmas that you used to or that you've heard about, baby, let me tell you something. They stayed at home. See, they could stay at home. See, because 85 to 90% of them were married to your granddaddies. My granddaddy. Your great granddaddy. See, I want to help y'all today because y'all are saying things about us grandmas today that does not apply to the grandmas back in the day. And you're right, you're not wrong, but it's a reason behind it. See, the grandmas ain't the grandmas that they used to be back in the day is because, one more time, they had the time. See, they had granddaddy who went out there and worked, who went out there and made a living and bought the bacon. Okay? He bought the bacon in. See, he paid for the roof over y'all's head, your parents and your grandma's head. He did that. See, he made sure the lights stayed on. He made sure food was on the table, that type of thing. See, and back in the day, the grandmas could be at home because most of the time they stayed at home. In fact, they were homemakers, so they stayed at home. They had the time to be the grandmas that they used to be. That y'all talking about, the grandmas ain't the grandmas that they used to be. See, baby, they had time to be those grandmas. They had time for all you to bring your children over, and because they were home. You could leave your kids there. I could leave my children with my mother or my grandmother at any given time. Why? Because they were home. They didn't have access to the things that I had access to. See, the baby boomers, us, we got to go out there and get it. See, we don't have that 85, 90% marriage rate. See, now most of us have that 85, 90% divorce rate. Okay? Most of us led the homes ourselves. Most of us were single parents, so we had to bring home the bacon. We had to make sure the roof was over your head. We had to make sure food was on the table. We had to make sure clothes was on your back. You understand me? We had to be the one to get you off to school all alone. Now, the grandmas back in the day had to do the same thing because granddaddy was out there working. But let's be very clear about the things that the grandmas had back in the day or didn't have that the grandmas have today. There's a lot of contrast with that. See, the grandmas back in the day didn't have transportation. So most of the time they were home anyway. To have transportation, especially in a black family back in the day, was a big deal. Let alone a woman having transportation and my grandma driving back in the day. It was not necessarily. I mean, it was nice if you saw Miss Martha with a car. You're like, Miss Martha driving, Grandma, but Grandma won't driving. Not the baby boomers' grandma. Our grandma wasn't driving. So we could drop our kids off. They would let them play in the yard and then holler for them. Y'all come on in here and get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And come on in here and get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and some milk and lay yourselves down and take your nap. Huh? Back in the day, the grandmas back in the day, when thunderstorm, they turned off the light and everybody had to sit around and be quiet. Huh? Back in the day, you still playing cable, you still playing video games, you still on your phones, and it's just thundering and lightning outside like crazy, hailing and everything. See, you got to understand the difference back in the day as it is today. See, the grandmas today, baby, they got to work. The grandmas today, I know my age, I'm 61. My age, my mom was at home. My mom wasn't working back then. And my mom, once my stepfather passed away, my mother she was on a fixed income, but you better believe, honey, you better believe I made sure she was straight. And just like the grandmas ain't like the grandmas, the grandmas ain't the same grandmas that they was back in the day, just like the grandmas ain't the grandmas they was back in the day, I hate to tell you this, baby, and I ain't being mean, but the children ain't the children like today, like they were back in the day either. See, we had honor and respect for our grandparents and our parents. See, I picked the phone up every day by 9 a.m. and called my mother. It wasn't a day that went by I didn't pick that phone up and call my mama. You hear me? See, and when my mother, after my stepfather passed, well, way before my stepfather passed, I took over my mother's insurance policies and paid them. And not only that was I paying her insurance policies, I also gave my mother an allowance every time I got paid. Huh? See, y'all children ain't the same children either. See, because once again, the children back in the day, we had respect. We had honor for our grandparents. I called my mother. I made sure my mother was okay. I made sure there wasn't a time that went by. A day that went by unless my mother was beefing. And if we were beefing, as y'all children say, unless that was the case, guess what? I backed away. But you better believe, once I couldn't take it no more, I hurry up and apologize to my mother and started back calling my mother and making sure she was straight. But I never stopped making sure she was straight. So no, the grandmas back in the day the grandmas today ain't like the grandmas back in the day. No more than the children today are like the children were back in the day. No more than that. See, the children today feel like they are entitled. The children today think somebody owe them something. See, because of what us baby boomers did. And we made a lot of mistakes with y'all by giving you so much because we didn't, what we didn't have. Now, I didn't. Now, ain't about them Jordans that's carrying on for my children. And I was able to do it once I got my career off the ground. I was able to buy Jordans. But you think I spent my money on some daggone Jordans, $200 and $300 something tennis shoes for my children? I did not. But what I did do was I paid for that roof over their head. I made sure food was on the table. I made sure those lights were turned on, whether they got turned off once in a while or not, because they did. Do you understand me? So, no, the grandmas today ain't like the grandmas back in the day. We can't be. We don't have the support to be like the grandmas were back in the day, baby. We just don't. We want to get our grandchildren. We love our grandchildren just like we love our children. And we want to have the time, but we got to work. We got to do what we have to do to make a living. You don't think we would love to be able to be at home and keep our grandchildren? And on top of that, we got more access than what our parents had. We have cars. Most of 85-90% of our parents didn't have no cars. They caught the bus. Huh? We can go to the mall, we can go to the museum, we can do things, right? And then on top of that, most of us are single and we got lives for ourselves and we want to find love too. So it's a whole lot of things. There's two sides to that coin. And I understand how you feel. I understand how you want your parent to be close to you, like close to your children, like you were to your grandparents, but it just isn't that way anymore. But we love you. We've done for you. We did our best. We worked hard. I ain't saying all of us. I'm talking about those of us who did. Okay, I ain't talking about the ones that got out there and got on crack and did what they did. But if they got themselves together, you got to even give them credit for that. Because all of that was hard back in the day during baby boomer time. So no, you're right. The grandparents aren't, the grandmas aren't the grandmas they used to be back in the day. They're not. No more than you children are the children that you used to be back in the day. All right? When the last time you picked up the phone and called your grandma and say, hey, grandma, you got it? Where your lawnmower at? Any gas in it? Because I'm going to come over and cut the grass. When the last time you picked the phone up and called your grandma or your mother and said, hey, mom, hey, grandma, how you doing? I love you. When the last time you picked the phone up and said, hey, grandma, slip something on. Hey, mama, slip something on. I'm going to take you out to lunch. When the last time you did that, baby? When the last time you called your mother at any given time? Do you call your mother every day? Do you check on them every day? Your mother, when I say mother, I'm talking parents, mother and father. Okay, do you do that? See, but y'all so busy pointing the finger at us. You got so busy, you doing this so much and not realizing you got all three of these, 1, 2, 3 of these pointing back at you. Come on now. Come on. We love you. We want to do all the things that we can do. Everything that we can do, we want to do. But we're just not able to. We don't have the lives that the grandmas had back in the day. The grandmas were able to be at home back in the day. They were able to sit on the porch and have a cup of coffee and rock in the rocking chair after they took care of the house and made sure everybody got off to school. They were able to do that. Then we're not able to do that today. There's too much rigmarole, and this world is too crazy, and it's too much going on. But just like y'all feel like things aren't the way they used to be back in the day, we feel the same way. We don't feel like children are the way they used to be back in the day. Because once again, on a day, I didn't go by, I didn't call my mama. By 9 a.m. in the morning, she knew it was going to be me, hey, Nene, how you doing? And she would rush me off the phone sometimes. Hey, Nene, how you doing? Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm in there. I'm in there. I ain't doing nothing. You know, sometimes just is rushing me and everything. But you know what? I made sure I heard her voice. I made sure I checked in. Huh? What you do? What do you do? So you're so busy complaining about the fact that the grandmas aren't the grandmas they used to be. I want you to understand that you all aren't the children. The children today aren't the children they used to be. And I want you to understand that there's two sides to that coin. But I also want you to understand, just like there's an up, there's a down. You understand me? I want you to understand that ain't nobody wrong in the situation. You're wrong for not picking up. If you one of those children that don't pick up the phone and call your parents pretty much on a daily basis, at least 3 times a week. But I can't give you the number and tell you how often you should call your mama. If you call your parents 1 day a week, that's enough. At least you're picking up the phone and calling them. But when I hear the complaints, honey, and I hear complaints from people, I could be standing in the grocery store. And we get to talking about how the children are not attentive to their children. Us baby boomers. We get to talking about that. I talk to my friends. I talk to even my siblings. And they all are saying the same thing. This is not tit for tat. This is a fact. So just like it's a fact that the grandmas aren't the grandmas they used to be, it's also a fact that the children aren't the children that they used to be. Okay? Have an amazing day.